Welcome to eyeliner techniques. So we just covered brows in the previous video. So now we want to move on to some eyeliner techniques, and I'm going to show you lots of different products and the ways to use them to create different eyeliner looks. The type of eyeliner that you do completely depends on your client and their eye shape. So someone with almond shaped eyes like myself, you can do pretty much any type of eyeliner on because there is no visible crease here that's going to affect doing a wing. You could do a smoked out liner, you can do a crisp eyeliner and it's still going to suit an almond shape. If someone has more hooded eyes, their skin will fold down slightly at the edge of the eye. It's a lot harder to do a winged liner because you actually have to go over the top of this line here, which makes it a little bit bumpy and can be a little bit difficult. So there is still ways of doing winged liner for hooded eyes, but it is a little bit harder. So someone with hooded eyes may suit something like a smoked out eyeliner rather than a really crisp wing. More mature clients tend to not be able to wear as crisp of an eyeliner because it can look quite harsh on the eyes. And if the skin is slightly more on the wrinkly or mature side, it tends to be a little bit harder to create that very crisp edge. So instead, we can do more of a natural kind of smoky liner with either eyeshadow or buffing out our eyeliner products to make their eyes still open and still have eyeliner, but without making it look like a really crisp line. So experiment with all these techniques that I'm going to show you and find the way that works for you and the way that works for your client. But it is important that you know how to do each of these things. So don't just do the one that is easy for you. Make sure you're challenging yourself and trying out all different techniques, because you never know the day that someone comes in and sits down in front of you and says they want a really crisp winged liner and you may not be confident with it. So if you practice all of these different techniques, you're going to be able to nail it when you do clients. The first rule of eyeliner as a makeup artist is you cannot use liquid liner. The reason is because we can't use this tip on somebody's face because it's not hygienic. If you want to use liquid liner, you would have to decant this by taking some out, putting on the back of your hand, and then using a brush, dipping in, and then placing that on the client. But most of the time, if you try and do that, what's on your hand dries out so quickly that it's not worth it. It's going to be a lot harder to do, and a gel instead will give you a much better result. So liquid liner is reserved for personal use. Feel free to use it on yourselves, but never share it with anybody, and don't use it on your clients because it's not hygienic. Some companies, however, do make an alcohol-based liner. That means there's actually alcohol in the formula, which means you can use the product, use this little applicator on your client, and then spray it with alcohol and wipe it off before you put it back in. And that will actually sanitize that product and that brush to make sure that you can use it on different people. But that is only for very specific alcohol-based liners only. You can't do that with a normal liquid liner. Next up, pencil liner. So pencil eyeliner is a great thing to use if you want more of a natural or smoked out effect to your eyeliner rather than a very crisp liner. They are usually a wax base, which means if they get too cold, they might feel a bit hard. So what I recommend you do is scribble it on the back of your hand and then use it directly on your client, because that's going to warm up the tip of that pencil and make it glide on a lot easier. You need to sanitize this before you sharpen it, and then take a pencil sharpener, sharpen your pencil, then sanitize it again. That's the way I personally do it, just to ensure that my pencil is completely sanitary before I use it on my client. Then I'm going to use it, and then straight after, I'm going to sanitize again, sharpen again, and then put the lid back on to ensure that that pencil is completely clean every time I use it. So when you're using a pencil liner, I like to again warm it up on the back of my hand. Then I'm going to start on the outer edge of the eye, and you may need to lift up the person's eye or pull it out very gently. Don't tug on the skin because you don't want to give someone premature wrinkles. But if you just gently tug on the skin so there's just a bit of tightness there, you can wiggle your pencil back and forth in between those lashes. And it's going to create a slightly more bumpy liner, to be honest. And I'm just going to work my way into the front of the eye. And you want to work quite quickly, but you can take a small brush like this or even a cotton bud, and you can use this to buff out those edges and make the eyeliner look really soft. It's really important that you do this step because otherwise your eyeliner will look a bit bumpy. So I'm just going to take this into the inner corner of the eye and just gently blend it out. As I said, you do have to do this quite quickly because once the eyeliner sets in place, it's really hard to make it move again. So it's important you do this pretty much immediately. Don't do eyeliner on both eyes and then try and blend them out because it will be too late. So instead do one at a time and just work really quickly. Then when I get to the outer corner of my eye, ideally you want the liner to lift the eye shape. So what I like to do is line up the lower lash line and kind of just create a little bit of a tail or a little bit of a point right on the end of that liner, just with the brush that I've got. And just let it kind of fade up into the skin. You're not like drawing in a wing or anything like that, but you're just kind of finalizing that end. So that way the liner has a nice little point on the end to kind of finish it off and make it look really nice and neat. So that is a pencil liner. The other thing a pencil is great for is tight lining. So tight lining is applying eyeliner to the underside of the eyelashes. So you have your waterline on the bottom. Your tight line is the opposite of that. So it's the line that's up the top here. And eyeliner pencils are great for doing tight lines. So you're just going to lift up the lashes slightly and wiggle your brush up underneath those lashes. This is something that will make your client cry a bit, so you do want to take your time with it. And I just pull up gently, wiggle back and forth, then let go. Give them a chance to blink and move, and then move on to the next section. When you're doing it on a client, you can get them to look down to the floor. The reason we tightline is because it fills in all of those little skin gaps that would poke through lashes normally and makes the lashes look a lot fuller and makes your eye look really finished and polished. And then when you're done with your pencil, again, you're going to sanitize it first. So spray your pencil, then sharpen it, and then sanitize again before you put the lid back on. Next, gel eyeliner. Gel eyeliner is the best thing for makeup artists because it is so versatile. It's super waterproof, so it's not going to smudge or move anywhere throughout the night. And we can have control over whether we make it smoky, smudgy, and really blown out, or if we want to make it very crisp and really nice and polished. Really depends on just what brush you use and how you apply it. So I'm going to do more of a crisp effect and then we're going to smoke out this side instead. For eyeliner that comes in a little pot like this, we always need to decant it. So that means taking a spatula or the end of a brush, scooping out a product and then popping that on the back of your hand. You never want to dip your brush directly into that pot because that would contaminate it with bacteria. As soon as you decant it, make sure you put the lid back on. It's the biggest rookie mistake that people will leave their eyeliner pot sitting out and then it will just dry out. So that's not what we want. A gel needs to stay nice and moist, and if it dries out, it's a nightmare to use. So it's better to keep it closed as soon as you use it. There are a few different options when it comes to brushes, so it's good to experiment with a few different types and see what works for you. I personally like these two. So the one on the left is a really fine pointed brush. It's super skinny and it's pretty much going to be the thickness of the line that I create. The one on the right is an angled brush. These are amazing for creating wings and making a really nice bold eyeliner. So use whichever brush you're comfortable with. I'm going to use a combination of these two just so you guys can see the different techniques. For the middle part of the eye, I'm going to use the skinny brush. I'm going to load up all of that product on my brush and make sure all the sides are coated. Then I'm going to start in the inner corner. It's totally up to you where you like to start, but I like to start in the inner corner because I can get my client to look down. The reason that you want to look down and not close your eye is so you can get right up into this inner corner here and get really close to their tear duct. So you get your client to look down and you're just going to press just on the almost underside of their tear duct. Press, let go, press, let go. So just make tiny little strokes. Once that area there is filled in, then you can get them to close their eyes. For the rest of the eyeliner, it's more comfortable if they close their eyes. So again, I'm gonna load up more product because every time I use my brush, I want the product to be black and not gray. So now I'm gonna get my client to close their eyes. I would then gently kind of pull on the eyelid and tug the eyelid slightly, just so that the skin stretches enough to be a really flat surface for you to work off of. So now I'm going to rest my brush against the lashes, push in, and then let go. And then push in again, let go. Push in again. And just create tiny little brush strokes along the lash line, using almost the lashes as your guide. So I'm just taking my time and building up that eyeliner, making it look as smooth as possible. So that was using a skinny brush like this. You can still do this exact same thing with the angled brush, but now I'm going to show you the angle so I can show you how to do a wing. I'm going to load up both sides of my brush. I want enough product on there so that the line that I create is really crisp and really black and not grey or smudgy. So again, I'm going to pull and stretch the eye just gently and then working back towards the middle of the eye. So we started on the inner corner, we were going outwards. Now we're on the outside, we're going to work back inwards. So just build up the eyeliner in little tiny strokes along the natural lash line. And run your brush across the lid to join them. Always load up with more product every time you need it. So the aim is to have the inner corner slightly skinnier and then the outer corner of the eye slightly thicker, because this gives the illusion that the eye is bigger. Next is the tricky part, which is the wing. What you're going to aim for is your client to look straight forward. Then you want to line up the outer corner of the eye and follow the natural lash line outwards. So you're pretty much following their natural eye shape all the way out to show you where to put that eye line. If it helps at first, you can actually hold a brush or a cotton bud or something like this in the angle of the lower lash line, so you can kind of make a mark for yourself. And then you would take some product and make a little dot or line or something like that to kind of aim for, and then take that away. Do it on the other side, and then you would be able to make sure that both sides are even before you commit to doing a full wing. Now that I'm a bit more experienced with eyeliner, I can kind of just eyeball this and look at their lower lash line and just follow that all the way out, and then just make a little mark for myself just by eyeballing it. But when you're learning, do give that first technique a go and actually use a cotton bud or a brush to line up that line. So now that I've created that little dot, we're going to draw a line from that dot down to the lashes. So creating a really nice crisp edge. Load up your product if it looks like it's going grey or running out at all. And go straight down to the lashes. Then I'm going to add more product. You always want wet product going on the eye. It will be a nightmare if it's not wet. And then we're going to go from that dot almost horizontally back towards the rest of the eye. And then you just want to fill in that little triangle. So right now, this is a bit of a baby wing for me. I prefer something a little bit more elongated and a little bit more blown out, but this is a nice small wing. Next we can make it a little bit bigger by, again, loading up your brush with a bit of product and just using the very fine point of that angled brush, we can just flick outwards to create a really nice sharp lengthy wing. So I like my eyeliner to stop about there because it's about halfway between the tail of my eyebrow and my crease. But just do whatever you like and whatever your client likes. Next, if you accidentally make a few mistakes or you're not happy with your wing, what you can do is clean it up a little bit with either some makeup remover or some concealer, depending on how bad the situation is. So for me, I like to take a little bit of primer on a concealing brush or even another angled brush, whatever you have that's nice and small, and taking a little bit of primer not makeup remover, because I like to re-prime the area rather than remove makeup from it. And just load up that brush with a little bit of primer, and then you would just follow the underside, or wherever you've made the mistake, you would just follow that out underneath that wing to make it as crisp as possible. Like that. Then you could take a cotton bud and just remove any of the excess, or just blend out any of the product that you don't want to be around the eyeliner. So then you should have a really nice crisp edge underneath your wing. Now I'm going to show you how to smoke out this eyeliner on this side, to show you two different options of what your clients may like for a event makeup. So you could start with a base of pencil, or you could do this with eyeliner gel as well. Next, I'm just going to take a little bit of black eyeshadow. I like to take small brushes like these, for example, like a little flat brush or a little buffing brush. You could also use a pencil brush, whatever you kind of have that is small enough for you to apply products in a small area and then buff out. What I'm going to do is take a tiny bit of black eyeshadow right on the tips of the bristles of my flat brush. Tap off your excess, because you don't want that black eyeshadow going all over the face. And what I'm going to do is just press that over the eyeliner that we did before. I like the outer edge of my eyeliner to kind of just fade out to absolutely nothing and kind of fade into whatever eyeshadows I had done previously as well. So as you can see, that's two different styles of eyeliner, and they're still going to create the same effect where they make the eyes look bigger because it's thicker on the outside and thinner in the inner corner. Next, I'm going to do the waterline. So you could use a pencil for the waterline. You just want to push down on the skin underneath the eye. You don't want to drag it or pull it. You want to almost hold your finger sideways and push in, and that's going to help roll out that lower lash line instead of you dragging down someone's eyes and making them potentially cry, which is a nightmare to clean up. If someone starts crying and you're trying to do eyeliner, the eyeliner will never stick. It's so annoying. So what you want to do is just push into the underside of their eye, and that will just roll out the lower lash line. And you can go in with a pencil and just color in the waterline, and then again, do a little bit, let go, then do a little bit more, let go, do a little bit more, let go. Or you could use your gel. So I like using gel because it is so waterproof, it's not going to come out of the waterline anytime soon. So using a little bit more of that product, push into the underside of the eye and just work that into that waterline. And then let them blink in between. Do another section. So if you leave it just like this, it looks a little bit 90s and it isn't the most flattering thing in the world. So what we want to do is smoke out that liner on the bottom as well. And to do that, I'm going to take a small flat brush and a little bit more of that black eyeshadow. Tap off the excess. And you're going to run this in between the person's natural lashes. And that will help to blend out that lower edge. You can link up the two sides on the outer corner of the eye as well. And then to blend that out even further, again, take a clean brush and go over the underside of the edge of that black, just to blend it even further. So instead of looking like a really harsh line underneath the eyes, it instead is blown out and more smoked out. If you want to make someone's eyes look even bigger than they naturally are, you could use a white or a nude eyeliner inside the waterline instead of black. So I'm going to take my sanitized pencil, do the same steps by pushing up underneath the eye, and just filling in the waterline with a nude. By applying a nude color underneath the waterline, this can really help to open up the eye a lot more and make them look slightly more round. So I'm going to apply a little bit of mascara and I'll show you what it looks like in the end. So these are your two different eyeliner techniques that I really want to see from you guys. So one very smoked out version, one winged out version, and then you can also experiment with the waterlines, choosing either a dark black waterline or a nude, more classic waterline. Obviously you would have eyeshadow looks and lashes and things like that to go along with these two eyeliner looks, but it is good to practice the techniques by themselves so that you can nail it when you do really beautiful eyeshadow to go along with them. As always, your trainers are always available for questions and to see any of your practices, so I can't wait to see the photos of all of your eyeliners. And remember that practice makes perfect, so if you're not great at first, it just takes a little bit of practice and you'll get there in the end. Good luck with these ones, and I'll see you at your next tutorial.